Hey, everybody. Before I get to the discussion about Primer, I wanted to let you know that I was invited to appear on a new podcast that I've been enjoying lately, which is the Fantastic Comic Fan Podcast, hosted by R.T. Fleming. R.T. graciously asked me to come on his show to discuss one of my very favorite issues, New Teen Titans Volume 1, Number 38, the Who is Donna Troy story, as well as other comic book-related topics. Please listen to that episode, out right now, and listen to his other fine episodes by subscribing to his podcast. I'll include a link to his website in the show notes. And here's RT's promo for the show, and after that, I talk Primer with Madison.
Hello, and welcome to Fantastic Comic Fan. I am your host, R.T. Fleming, and it is my mission to help you find your next digital comic book pick from the golden age to now. I have been reading comic books for over 40 years, and have never lost my passion for comic books, something I try to pass on to old and new readers.
Hi, this is Eric from Longbox Review at longboxreview.com. Welcome to the show. Today's show is a special one because I have a returning co-host. You know her as my granddaughter, but I just call her Maddie. Hey, Maddie.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So last time we got together, we talked about which Raina Telgemeier book? It was the second one.
Sisters?
Sisters.
Yeah, it was Sisters.
Yeah, because we did Smile, and then we did Sisters.
Yeah.
And so we had planned, we would talk then about doing the next Raina Telgemeier book, but then you surprised me by requesting the book that we're going to talk about today, which is the DC Comics graphic novel for kids called
Primer.
A
superhero graphic novel.
A superhero graphic novel, as it says on here. I was going to ask you about that too, that little insertion. So we'll get to that. Anyway, so we're here to talk about Primer, which was one of my honorable mentions during my favorites of 2020 episode that I released back in March. And I don't remember when we last did our last episode. Do you remember when that was?
No.
No, was it this year though? 2021?
I think so. I think it was.
I think so too.
This year, but it was like.
I think because
a long while ago.
I should probably look it up, but I'm gonna guess that it was sometime this last summer.
Yeah, because we did Smile and Sister around the same time, just different years.
Oh, that's right. Didn't I talk about that when we recorded? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway, so we're not here to talk about a Raina Telgemeier book for once. So I'm glad to see that you're branching out to talk about different things other than those books. Not that those books are bad; those are great books.
Yeah.
But I'm very pleased that you are wanting to talk about some different things now, and that as you well know, where you're sitting here in my office with all of those books behind you, not to mention in the comic boxes to your right, there's so many things that you could be reading.
Yeah,
and it doesn't have to be, graphic novels for kids. You're now getting to that age where you could start. I think you could start reading other things besides stuff that it's geared for kids specifically. But that has nothing to do with what we're talking about today, and it's not is certainly not a slam against any kind of comic books for kids, because I loved this book. So when I bought it because it's a new superhero. It's a young woman who is the superhero, and we don't really see a whole lot of those to begin with from any comic book company. So I thought, well, that's really cool. I thought you would like it. I was thinking of you as well when I purchased it, and I was very pleased that when you read it, you liked it too.
Yeah, I mean, like, her and I think Pix are like the only two like young, like high school, middle school aged like girl superheroes that like you really see that much. I don't know.
Well,
most of the like girl superheroes are already like adults and stuff.
Oh, I see. Yeah. So like Batgirl and Supergirl and I don't know, other characters from, I'm trying to think of somebody from Marvel, like any of the X-Men, the young X-Men. Well,
all those guys.
yeah. But I'm trying to think of like younger female superhero characters. But yeah, no. To your point, you're right, because there really aren't that many. So Primer, so she is middle school, right?
Yeah, she's 13, middle school.
13. Okay, yes, and then she has a birthday, right? Okay, so yeah, you're right, exactly. That there aren't that many female superhero characters of that age. I was trying to think of, are there any male characters of that age? But it doesn't matter, because
the youngest male superhero I remember is the Teen Titans, but then with Marvel, it's like Spider-Man, and that's it. Really?
Well, there's more than that. There's these characters called the Champions right now in Marvel Comics that are younger, but I don't know what their ages actually are. I'll show them to you.
There's also the New Mutants.
There's the New Mutants. Since we just watched that movie, you're aware of those. But when they started out, they were also, I want to say, early teens, maybe mid-teens.
Yeah.
But yeah, so in other words, there's a whole lot of other characters across the various publishers that have similar characters, but I think you're right. I think your observation is absolutely correct. We don't have too many middle school superhero characters, and so that's kind of neat.
Yeah, they're all about high school and
Yeah, exactly. Now, I want to come back to this because you are high school.
Yes.
You are a sophomore in high school, but yet you really like this book, which is I would say geared more towards the middle school readers.
Yeah.
Perhaps. But so we'll come back to that. So but let's step back a little bit. We jumped ahead to where we were going to end up here in just a minute, but we got to give the listeners a little bit of background on Primer here. So this is by Gretel Lusky, who did the art. Jennifer Muro and Thomas Krajewski are the writers. Wes Abbott did the letters. This was published in June of 2020. Like I said, under the DC Graphic Novels for Kids imprint, which used to be, I believe, it was either DC Ink or DC Zoom. I forget which one. It's a total branding thing that they quickly abandoned after the last purchase of DC Comics by whichever company now owns them. Anyway, so that's what we got there. Did you know that, for example, did you look at in the back they have the about the creators stuff?
Oh yeah, I saw that, but I don't think I've ever read it.
I always like to look at that stuff. So I don't know if you noticed this, but Gretel Lusky, the artist, she has her photo, but it's half a photo and half her, I assume, her drawing of herself.
Yeah.
Which I thought that was really cool that she did that.
Yeah.
So anyway, she has worked in animation, doing animated shorts, TV series, feature films, but she's wanting to work. Yeah, it says here she is pursuing her long-term dream of doing comics, which that's awesome. And then the writers of this graphic novel, they work on a bunch of different animated series. So, are you familiar with? Let's see here, Buddy Thunderstruck on Netflix?
No, I don't think I've probably seen it, but I've never I haven't watched it.
The Fairly Odd Parents.
Yes, I loved that.
Okay, so Thomas Krajewski has worked on that.
That used to be one of my favorite shows I watched.
And Jennifer Muro has worked on Justice League Action, which we have seen some episodes of, and every time I come across that title or reference to that show, I remember we never finished it.
No, we didn't.
We need to go back and watch those episodes. And then also the DC Superhero Girls. She also worked on that.
Yes, I have seen that.
Okay. So we're just going to talk about this book. We're going to go give some like an overview of the book that Madison and I are going to read. We're just going to read the back of the book blurb. And then we're going to go through chapter by chapter and describe that chapter and then give our thoughts about the chapter and maybe have some other questions along the way. So we'll see how this goes, right, Madison?
Yep.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right. So primer from the back cover of this book: artistry and superheroics collide in this new superhero story, which very true, right? I love that about this book. We'll talk about that more. All right. 13-year-old. Oh, yeah, there you go. It's right there in the first few words.
Yep.
13-year-old Ashley Rayburn is an upbeat girl with a decidedly downbeat past. With a father in prison, Ashley has bounced from foster home to foster home and represents a real challenge to the social workers who try to help her. Not because she's inherently bad, but because trouble always seems to find her.
Things start looking up for Ashley when she finds new loving parents and a best friend, and an outlet for her creative skills. But her life quickly gets more complicated when she also finds a suitcase full of specially enhanced body paints, changing her from artist to the world's newest superhero. It's the greatest thing to happen in her life so far until Ashley finds herself pursued by a government agency that wants those paints back. Now she has to make hard choices to protect her new parents and learn what it truly means to be a family.
Okay, so that, like I said, that's generally what the book is about. Why did you want to talk about this book? Because you read it. So like I said, I talked about this book as being one of my favorites of 2020. So it came out almost a year and a half ago. I don't remember when you read it, but it's been let's just say about a year.
Yeah.
Since you probably read it, right? So what was it about this book that you wanted to come on the show and talk with me about it?
Well, I really liked the book and like all the artistic stuff about it because, like, I like to draw and do a bunch of art, and so that, like, just the cover and everything made me more interested in it because she's an artist and everything, and it's just super cool, and just it's creative in the way that they put the art and the like superpowers and everything together. I just really liked it, and I wanted to talk about it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, and one of the things that Madison and I like to do is share art with each other. And so when I'm on my Instagram account and I'm just scrolling through and I see all these amazing pieces of art, either by comic book creators or others, because I follow not just comic book creators there, and I think sometimes we annoy your grandma, my wife, because we'll be at the dinner table and I'll suddenly, and I'm done eating, so I'm just kind of flipping through things and waiting for everybody to be done. And all of a sudden I'll just reach over with my phone and stick it in front of Madison's face and say, "Look at this."
Yeah. And then I get super distracted and I just start talking, and then I won't eat. And
yeah, that's right.
Annoys grandma.
I should not do that, right?
Nah, you should keep doing it. I like seeing the art.
Okay. All right. So, what did you, just real general, what else did you like about this book?
I mean, like I said, I like the art, but I like the character, like that she is, and like the type of personality and person she is, and just like her humor and everything. I can kind of relate to that because that's kind of like me.
And that's what I was wondering, because she actually reminds me a bit of you.
Yeah. Yeah, her humor is great, and the personality and everything, and just like the way she is and the way she uses the paints at first, like with all like the pranks and just testing them out and having fun with it. I would be pranking you people a lot, but yeah.
So one of the powers, one of the paints gives her like a ghost power, right? Is that something that you would put that on? You come up through the floor to spook us?
Yeah, something like that.
Man, I would ground you so fast. Okay. I agree with you. And I've said this before, like I said, my favorites of 2020 episode. I really enjoyed this. It was, the humor. There's a bit of drama in there with the whole foster situation.
Yeah.
Her relationship with her father who's in prison. And then her discovering who she is as a young adult. It's not just about the superhero stuff, but she I think she learns some things about herself. We'll talk about that later. She's making new friends. And just like you said, the art, I love how art is central to this character of Ashley. And it's not just an excuse to suddenly have these powers, right?
Yeah.
It's not like she some random character found these paints and then becomes a superhero. She is an artist, and she expresses herself through art, and she relates to art. And I really like that. And then there's some other characters in here, like the Nolans, who are her foster parents.
Yeah.
And Kitch, the father, is an artist himself.
Yeah.
And we will talk about that later, because that's part of the chapters. So that's one of the things I really like about it, is that relationship that she develops with those characters. You mentioned the friend in the synopsis.
Yeah.
Luke. I love Luke, and although I will say I wish we would have gotten a little bit more between them, but that's fine, because one of the nice things about this book is that it is set up for a sequel.
Yeah, Luke kind of reminds me of my best friend. Just like we hang out a lot, and or we did, and we would just have fun with it, and her and Luke just basically do what they want and have fun. They do cause a lot of damage, though, or at least she does.
Yeah.
But it's funny because the part where she starts flying and she just hits the walls. That's funny because it's she's being super clumsy in a way, which is basically me. And then the best friend,
I was wondering where you're going with that.
The best friend is more chill and not as clumsy and can normal. And that's my best friend.
Okay.
That's
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
I can totally see that. All right, cool. So obviously at the beginning of the book, she makes a reference to Batman.
Yeah.
And, in fact, it opens up with the very first page is these people on the street going, "Look, up in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane." And you know what that's from, right?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know, because that's kind of fallen along the wayside as far as a reference to Superman. But so sometimes I don't know if you know these cultural touch points like I do. So
I'm not a fan of Superman. It's never been my favorite.
Oh my God.
It's never been my favorite, but I get the references.
Listeners,
I grew up with you.
You will understand if I suddenly disown this child, right?
Rude.
Superman's one of my very favorite characters, so it hurts me to hear you say that, Maddie.
Yeah, because it's always been split in half between the Superman and the Batman, that kind of fandom. You like Superman,
Mm-hmm.
you also like Batman, but not as much. And I've just always been Bat family.
Mm-hmm.
Full.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay, so like I said, it's set in the DC universe.
Yeah.
What's your reaction to that? Is that a good idea? Should it not have been?
No, I like it that it's a set in DC universe. It's because I really like DC. It's always been my favorite. But the way that they do it is it's interesting because it's you can tell that it's set in that universe, but it has none of the other characters. It's kind of its own story. So it's creative, but going around that universe in a way, which I like.
I love that they did not bring any other DC character into this.
Yeah.
Just mention them.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So let her stand alone, on her own, I mean.
Yeah.
And she proves herself. She doesn't need, mentorship from Batman or whatever.
Yeah.
I assume that if we do get a sequel, then maybe some of the characters might show up.
Maybe.
It would be interesting. And part of the reason I'm asking you about the whole DC universe thing is that there's another DC universe character whose power sets are very much related to colors. And there's actually several, but the one I'm thinking of specifically is the character of Halo, who was a character from the 1980s Batman and the Outsiders. And she's also a version of her has also appeared in the Young Justice cartoon.
I don't know who that is.
So
though.
that she goes by the name. I think her name in the show is Violet, She's the one that is. Oh boy, it's been a while since I've watched the show. Now she has this crush on Geoforce, Prince Brian. Do you remember that whole?
Yeah.
She's the one that died, but then she came back to life, and then she had the powers.
Yeah.
And she was. I don't know if I should say this. Spoilers if you haven't watched Young Justice season 3.
One of them.
She was an assassin, or she assassinated somebody, I should say. I think she was an assassin. She was forced to do this. Anyway, do you remember the character though?
Yeah, I remember the character.
Okay, so that's a version of Halo, but the version I'm familiar with is a character whose name was Violet Harper, and she had these Halo colors around her, and each color allowed her to do different things. For example, a red halo, she could produce heat blasts. An orange halo is a concussive blast. A violet halo is mental effects. Anyway, lots of different powers, but it was a specific color range because it was the typical colors you think of when you think of a rainbow.
Yeah, red, orange, yellow, green, blue,
right.
Purple.
Yeah. Essentially. But Primer actually has a much broader range of colors to play with. And so we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, that's fun.
I just thought it was funny that we have in the same universe characters like this that are power sets are similar.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's fine because Primer applies it in a different way. So that's cool.
Yeah.
I said Violet Harper. Violet Harper. That's her name. That's right. She also goes by Gabrielle Doe. I think that was her. I don't know. It's been a while since I've read Batman the Outsider, so. But that's one of my favorite series. You might enjoy that. I should pull those out and reread those. Okay. Back to Primer. All right. Shall we talk about the cover?
Yes.
Okay. Why don't you go ahead and describe the cover there?
So the cover, like the background of it is like white, but at the top it's like this like splatter paint kind of drip thing. Feel? Yeah. Anyway.
She's holding spray paint cans.
Yeah, and she's like has spray paint cans around her, and she's holding one, and like, because she's a spray paint artist. That's the kind of art that she does. And her outfit and everything is like, I like her outfit, and she's covered in paint, and she has this white tank top and the shorts and the boots. I want the boots.
Of course you do. What about the wigs? You want the wigs that she wears?
Yeah. I will go as this character. I will cosplay as this character. It would be fun.
That would be cool, yeah.
Because like
nobody will know who you are, but that would still be cool.
Yeah, because all I would really need is like the gloves and probably like the tank top and the wig. But other than and the goggles. But other than that, I can do it. But yeah, be a fun cosplay character, just covered in paint. Yeah.
So yeah, like Madison was saying, so we got all that spray paint in the background, dripping down the white canvas, the background.
Yeah.
Where Ashley's standing there, she's got some of the spray cans nearby, and yeah. And so that whole splatter paint background is something that goes through the entire book. So it's part of the title pages here, the table of contents. It goes through all the front matter, and then each chapter also has that splatter paint effect. So I just really dug that. I thought that was really cool. And each chapter has to do with paint or colors or some sort of connection to the artistry of this. Okay, so shall we get? Oh wait, no, I wanted to talk about that. It says so it actually says a graphic novel, but then there's a little caret inserting the word superhero between A and graphic. So as you said at the very beginning, a superhero graphic novel. Why do you think they felt the need to add the word superhero in that way?
I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's a superhero graphic novel, but the way they added it is kind of like the art, like it's kind of like an artistic way of doing it. And in middle school. So like that's also something they teach you in your like English classes and stuff. They make you do that. And it's like, so it's a way of kind of connecting it to the school and her age and the art.
Well, and notice, you know,
the book.
she has that paint can, spray paint can in her hand. It's almost like she just added it.
Yeah.
Maybe. Right. I think they wanted to just make sure that this is clearly a superhero book, so that some unsuspecting reader at Barnes and Noble or whatever, are those even around anymore? I don't know, but
there's one in Spokane.
If they pick this up, they won't mistake it for something else, I guess.
Yeah, no.
I don't know that we need that moniker, but you know, it's helpful, I suppose.
I connected it to all this stuff, and you're like, it was probably just for the people who just pick up random books.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get into the first chapter called Primary Colors. So there you go. Like I said, each chapter's name has something to do with color. I'll read a summary of the chapter, and then we'll talk about it. We see a girl in goggles and paint on her skin save a passenger plane from crashing. 3 weeks earlier, that same girl, Ashley, wakes up from a dream involving her father, a well-known crook, as one cop puts it, and decides she needs some air. Later, she spray paints a work she calls Ashley Unafraid. The cops find her and return her to the group home. Mrs. Boyd, who runs the home, introduces Ashley to Kitch and Yuka Nolan, who take her in as a foster daughter. Ashley overhears Yuka saying, "This could ruin our lives. It's a mistake." Later, Yuka yells at Ashley after she knocks a pan off the stove. This causes Ashley to want to sneak out of the apartment and return to her canvas. Kitch arrives and thinks her painting is great. He wants her to return home with him so he can show her his art studio in the garage. There, he encourages her to paint and try different media. The next morning, Yuka heads to work carrying a bag saying the same thing about it being a big mistake. So in the first chapter, we get our introduction to Ashley, to Mrs. Boyd. There's that great scene between them at the very beginning.
Yes.
The Nolans, she's now their foster daughter, and it sets up the basic adversarial plot, which is this mistake that Yuka is mentioning.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So we start off with the plane rescue, and how many times have you seen some new superhero? And I mean that very specifically for you, because I've seen it a bajillion times in comic books, where a new superhero will start off by some sort of rescue. It's a trope. So How familiar are you with that? How many times have you seen that?
I don't know. You see it a lot, and like.
So this, when you read this, it was like, oh, that again?
I was like, well, that's. I don't want to say basic, but I mean, it kind of is.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean by trope. It is a basic way of, but it's a good way. It's not like it's bad or anything. It's just that you know this is a new character, and you get to, you know, it allows you to see that she has certain abilities. She's able to ostensibly fly, although because she's using that firepower to do it, we find out later.
Yeah,
she has super strength to be able to actually hold the plane and hold it up. And then what was the other power that she had?
I think she used invincibility.
Invulnerability?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so we get to see her using her abilities, and she saves a bunch of people.
Yeah, I mean, when I first saw that, it reminded me of the Supergirl show. Because, like, that's one of the first things you see in the show. She goes and saves a plane.
Oh, really? I'd forgotten that.
Yeah, she
You're
does.
talking about the Melissa Benoist? I
the one on Netflix. I don't know who it is.
It's on CW right now, right?
Yeah.
Actually, it just came to an end. At the time of this recording, the show is no longer in production. So, But yeah, okay. I totally forgot that was the case.
Yeah.
That's kind of funny. Okay. One of the things I like about this whole plane rescue thing is that we get to see it played out throughout the book. It's not just this first scene and that's it.
Yeah.
There's two other key moments that we see footage from the rescue being played on television, and from different ways. So it's not like we're seeing the same thing over and over and over, which I really appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this first chapter, like I said, the rescue, her interaction at the foster home, her interaction with the Nolans. What do you think of Ashley? What kind of a person is she? How would you describe her?
Well, Ashley is like, she's a young teenager, and she's a troublemaker, but she's just trying to have fun. She's trying to live her life, but people don't get that. No, she's like the whole artist thing, and like she likes doing art and like exploring that kind of area, and like basically just trying to have fun. And like when she first meets the Nolans, like one of the first questions she asks is like, "Do you guys own a monkey?"
Well, wait. So let's back up, because that monkey thing comes in, and I wanted to ask you about this scene because I just thought you would love it.
Yeah.
So she's talking to Mrs. Boyd, and Boyd asks Ashley, "Don't you want a family?" "Yes, Mrs. Boyd, I do. But can't you find me one with a pet monkey? Oh, cruel world! Why can't you find me a family with a pet monkey? Why?"
Yeah.
And Mrs. Boyd is not having it.
Yeah.
She keeps trying to hammer the point home. And so she's talking to Ashley, and so the panel on page 20 of this book is we see a shot of Mrs. Boyd only talking to Ashley.
Yeah.
She says, "You need to change your attitude and take those pencils out of your nose." And then the next panel on the next page is a shot of Ashley with pencils up her nose. She's like, "What pencils?" I would find this girl so annoying.
Yeah, at least they're not that annoying.
But adorable. She is adorable. Because you're right. She wants to have fun. She expresses herself in different ways.
Yeah.
Not just through the art, but she just I will say, if we're going to get into like the psychology of it, this is her defense mechanism. This is how she copes by being abandoned by her father, who's in prison, and there's no mother figure here. We don't know what happened to her mother. She could be dead. She could just be out of their lives. Who knows? And so that could be how she copes. Like I said,
yeah, it's funny though, because it's like she makes so many jokes, and it's like when I think about it, it's like, yeah, that seems like something I would do, except I'm already annoy everyone, so I'm just gonna keep it on the down low.
Would you stick pencils up your nose like she did?
No, that's one of the things I would not do. But
okay, so anyway,
yeah, why can't you guys have a pet monkey?
The monkey. So then now talk about the Nolans and the monkey.
Yeah, because
and that scene.
I thought it was really funny because monkeys are my favorite. But yeah, the fact that she's like, so one of the first questions she asks is like, "So do you guys have a pet monkey?" And Kitch, being funny, he's like, "What kind of question is that? Like any normal family, we have 32."
Yeah, 32.
Yeah.
and her reaction is like she's kind of contemplative, and she's like, "Mm-hmm."
Yeah.
So
I couldn't remember what she said. I thought she said right or something.
How did you take that reaction after Kitch said that?
I thought it was funny because.
But what is she thinking in that moment?
I don't know. I feel like she'd be. Wow. I feel like she's thinking like, yeah, that she's trying to figure out if she likes them or not.
Yeah,
she likes
maybe
Kitch.
This is a possibility for me.
Maybe.
Yeah. And then they go on, and her Ashley and Kitch do this whole one-upmanship thing.
Yeah, that was funny.
Ashley says, "I don't like to brag, but some say I've got a real, quote, bad streak in me." And Kitch says, "I remember being your age. I had a pretty bad streak of my own. Yeah, I stole my jerk foster dad's belt. I stole my dad's car. When my fosters forgot my birthday, I trained their dog to rip up the couch. I trained my parrot to say bad words at show and tell." So they develop this connection very quickly by doing this back and forth. I love that. Okay. So, all right. So there's that scene. Let's talk about her painting, Ashley Unafraid.
Yeah, I thought that painting was cool. I liked it. And I like...
Well, here, describe it for our listeners.
I mean, it's like the kind of graffiti person art kind of thing, except it's abstract, like colors, and it just stands out. it's not like all blended in and like that kind of thing. It's like it's a swirl, like kind of superhero abstract art kind of thing.
I don't know that I call it abstract. Are you familiar with like Grecian art on pottery and stuff where they have the profiles?
Yeah.
And very kind of stiff looking poses and whatnot. That's kind of what that reminds me of, only much more modernized, obviously. Much
because
more
I've had
color.
I've had to draw something like that for art before. And that does remind me of it, except it's a superhero and it's like graffiti and cooler.
So why do you think she calls it Ashley Unafraid?
Because it's like, it's kind of like her alter ego. It's what she wants to be.
And what is that? What is it? What does she want to be besides unafraid?
I feel like she wants to be this like normal girl who has a family and like has basically a normal life and doesn't have to be like afraid of being what everyone wants her to be and like trying to meet these expectations of what she's supposed to be. And like with her dad, it's like she's scared of her dad and she just doesn't want to like have to deal with that anymore. She just wants to be a normal kid, normal life, like have all that.
I would agree with you. I think that is very true. But in terms of the painting, do you look at that and go, she wants a normal life?
She wants to be free. That's what I would think of from the painting.
All right. We will come back to the painting because it plays a key moment in a later chapter. So what about the Nolans? What's your reaction to that? Well, we already talked a little bit about Kitsch. What about Yuka?
I don't know. I don't know if she's like that kind. She's nice, but she's not someone that seems easy to get along with. And she seems like super strict in a way. Or like not strict, but like tight in a way. Like she has a certain way she likes to do things and like OCD perfectionist basically. And Kitsch is just like laid back and calm and like whatever.
Yeah, they're very much opposite personalities.
Yeah,
you know that whole maxim that opposites attract, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's not really the point of this story. That's just a situation between these two characters.
Yeah, but she also likes football, which her and Ashley have in common, but Kitsch doesn't, and that's
exactly.
Yeah,
and Kitsch does tell us because so Yuka comes across as perhaps a little cold, distracted for sure.
Yeah,
because of this mistake thing that she keeps mentioning.
Yep.
To herself, that we the readers are more privy to a bit more information than Ashley is.
Yeah.
At first, anyway, and so Kitsch tells Ashley, after he brings Ashley back home after she sneaks out. Don't ever do that, and. He tells her that Yuka was very excited. She was ecstatic to have Ashley come live with them. But we don't see that, right?
Yeah.
And there is that scene where Ashley, not being careful, actually it does remind me of you. She knocks over that boiling pot of water.
I have done that before.
and the reaction, Yuka kind of reminds me of me because I would react the same way, but how did you take that? Did you think that Yuka was mad at her, or what was your response to that particular scene?
Well, no, because I've done that so many times before, and it's like you guys always have the same reaction. It's always like, just be more careful, pay attention, basically. Stop walking around the kitchen.
Yeah, well,
basically,
yeah,
that kind of thing. It's like, but she seemed, because she hasn't had a kid around the house, she just like seemed to react a lot stronger than Ashley's used to. So Ashley just kind of like felt bad and was like, okay, I'm going to leave now.
Well, I will say, having gone through this, I don't know how many times with our daughters and now you and Gabby, in the moment we react very emotionally.
Yes.
But it's out of concern that you might have gotten hurt or how you might have gotten hurt.
Yeah, you guys.
And then later we're like, don't do that. Don't do that kind of crap. Be more careful. Then we get into lecture mode later.
Yeah. because you guys, like, well, no, because I've fallen going up the stairs and everything, or something, but I'll, like, fall or do something, and you guys will, like, kind of yell at me a little bit, and then it'll be like, okay, are you fine? Or, like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. That, like, 5 billion times. I've gotten used to it.
Yeah, and I also think part of what's going on here is Yuka's, like I said, she's distracted. She's dealing with this situation at work, and that's causing her to be a little more distant, I think, than maybe she would be.
Maybe.
If she didn't have that situation going on. So, but it makes an interesting dynamic in that, we have the more distant, more cold, so to speak, Yuka with Ashley, and then the more gregarious, artistic Kitch. And then, her situation, the situation with her father, which we'll talk about for the next chapter.
Yeah.
So, okay. So what was your favorite scene from this first chapter?
The scene where her and Kitch, like, first meet and are talking. So, like, it starts with the monkey, and then it goes on to, like, the whole one-upping thing. And then Yuka, like, is just like, okay, stop, we're moving on now. Basically, like, kind of seems to be getting a little annoyed. That's basically, like, the thing. It's because when I'm joking around with, like, you or Gabby and she starts getting mad, or, like, you keep joking back, someone gets annoyed and is like, just shut up. That's basically what I was thinking from that.
I don't think we say shut up.
No, you don't, but I've seen the looks you gave me.
Yeah, you're interpreting there. Okay, so
yes, I am. But
I totally understand. I would have guessed that was your favorite scene. My favorite scene was later when she sneaks out and Kitch finds her, and instead of yelling at her, for sneaking out and spray painting a wall when that's
illegal,
right? So his reaction is, Ashley, that painting, it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
And then, he coaxes her back home, and then they go into the garage and they do they have that whole bonding experience through art.
Through ketchup and mustard.
So yeah, she says, but I've only ever used spray cans. He says, come on, give it a try. Just squirt some paint onto the palette here, grab a brush and slap some onto that canvas. And she starts doing it. And she's like, okay, is this right? And he says, yeah, it's great if you want to paint with ketchup.
Yeah.
How long were you going to let me paint with ketchup?
Yeah.
Until you needed the mustard.
And then she's just like,
his outlook.
And then she's just like, you're a dork.
Yeah.
And him takes one to know one.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So yeah, I love that bonding moment that they have together. So that's really cool.
I did like that scene too. I thought it was funny.
Okay, let's go on to chapter 2, No Paint, No Gain.
I'll try to read this without messing up. Ashley has her first day at her new school and helps out a kid, Luke, being bullied at Zekro Max Labs, where Yuka works as a... Still can't pronounce that word.
Geneticist.
Yes, that. Major General Temple threatens 2 other doctors about their top secret project, war paint. Yuka watches this from her computer and then deletes the files for the project from the server and uploads a virus. The fire alarm goes off, allowing Yuka to replace the project war paint briefcase with the one she brought. She then exits the building with the other. That evening, Ashley and Kitch return from the garage, and Kitch brings up Ashley's upcoming birthday. Yuka arrives with the briefcase and takes it into her room. The next day, Luke visits, and after Kitch leaves, Ashley opens Yuka's bedroom safe and discovers the briefcase inside. Ashley finds canisters of paint and one with a gas in it that she accidentally sprays on herself. Thinking the paints are body paint, she rubs it on her and discovers it gives her the ability to fly. Applying a different color makes her grow. She wipes off the paint and, dragging Luke with her, they take the canister to a nearby park to test out the rest. They find that each paint gives her one special ability, including strength,
elasticity.
Yeah. Fire and ice casting and teleportation. Ashley also discovers that applying 4 paints short circuits her powers. Ashley returns home and quickly hides the briefcase because Kitch is there on the phone. He tells her that she has a phone call from her dad.
Okay, so what was your favorite scene in this chapter?
I think my favorite scene was when they were at the park. Or when Ashley puts on the first paint and just starts flying into walls. Because it's funny. And also, but when they were at the park and she was doing all the different paints and everything, I thought it was funny, especially when she was using the speed, super speed, because she was like just running from all different directions.
Right. So poor Luke is just standing. We should back up and talk about Luke and his introduction, but yeah, she starts running around super speed, high, and all different points around Luke. So yeah,
and Luke is just like, stop! You're making me dizzy.
Yeah. It's like that's like a super speedster trope.
Yeah,
that I've seen so many times in comics too. Not done in this way. But it's all the multiple images and they're everywhere.
Yeah.
So okay. I like those scenes too. But let's go back to the introduction of Luke.
Yeah, I like that part.
So Ashley goes to school and notices that Luke is being bullied by, I presume, a football player, or at least a big football fan, because he's carrying around a football. And so she quickly, what I loved about this is that she sees this happening and then immediately goes in.
She's like, well, I don't want to make any enemies, but I'll let this one slide.
Yeah, just be cool and try not to make any enemies, she tells herself, and then immediately makes an enemy out of Braden, who's the guy with the football, who is harassing Luke because of the wigs that Luke has in his locker.
Yes.
And Luke has those wigs because
he wants to become a hairdresser.
A hairstylist, yeah. Yeah, and he's got looks like 4 different wigs in there. And the wig thing becomes important because Luke gives her some wigs and that she wears as primer. So, which I thought was kind of cool.
But when she saw that Luke was being bullied, I like how she just goes over and is like, hey, is that a football sign by Xander or whatever? And he's like, yeah. And she's like, hey, can I have it real quick? And just throws it.
Yeah. Yeah. So what is that scene and the way that she handles that situation, what does that tell you about Ashley as a potential superhero?
Well, she's not going to let people be bullied. She doesn't want to make any enemies. She just wants to be like friends with everyone, basically. But if someone's being bullied or like something like that, she's going to do something about it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, she, to me, that just demonstrates, despite what she tells herself, she is willing to jump in and defend others and help others. Yeah. She's a good kid.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's what I would want. If you saw somebody at school being bullied, I'd want you to intervene. If it were safe to do so. I know certain situations you don't want to step in. I mean,
but I know a lot of kids at my school, and like if I see one of them getting bullied and I know the other kid, I'll just be like, most of the time I'll say something to him. I'll be like, yo, what's going on? Basically. And then, because I can, my friends normally have their backpacks on. I just grab their backpack and pull them away.
Yeah, good. All right. So Ashley is a good girl. She's, like I said, she's helping Luke out, making an enemy, but whatever.
But it's funny because she's like, after that, she's talking to Luke and she's like, well, do you got any more dumb jocks I can mess with? And he's like, I think we're going to get along just fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I said this already, but I kind of wish we would have had more of Luke in it, but yeah. All right. So let's contrast that with what foster mom Yuka is doing. So we find out, or we see her going into, she uploads a virus to the server. Well, first she downloads the information about Project Warpaint, then uploads a virus to erase that information on the server, and which also I guess the virus also sets off the fire alarm, which then makes everybody exit the building, which allows her to go into where to the safe where those paints are being stored.
Yes.
And she takes them. Along the way, she literally runs into Soldier Strack.
Yeah.
Who plays the major adversarial role in this story later.
I have also done that during a fire drill or whatever.
You've gone to a safe and stolen something?
No. I'm like trying to get out, or like I'm trying to keep up with someone, and I look away for a second and run right into someone else. I've done that so many times.
Well, just like Strack said, in an emergency, it's best not to rush, or you could get hurt. So even the bad guy can have something good to say about the situation. Okay, so what I'm curious, though, was what do you think of Yuka's actions? Because what she did technically is illegal.
Yeah.
She has stolen not only information, but a product, a prototype, because the military under Major General Temple is developing these paints to essentially eliminate warfare with people. So
Yeah.
he wants to help protect more people by using these paints and not have so many soldiers potentially die. Okay, so his goals are somewhat admirable. You know, his ultimate goal is probably a good one, but she steals that stuff.
No, because he says that the paints will make them unstoppable, which is why she stole everything and put the virus on, because she was scared that that's just going to make everything worse and make them all evil.
All right. Okay, you're right. I skipped ahead because there's some more information in the next chapter that I just divulged. But you're right. What Yuka knows is what you said. And so she's concerned that it's going to be a bad situation, so she steals it. Should she have done that?
I feel like she did it for a good cause.
Uh-huh.
That didn't go quite as she planned, but I mean, if she's doing it to like try to keep people safe and like knowing that it's going to end bad, if she just leaves it, I mean, I feel like she's just trying to be good, but I mean, at the same time, I probably would have done the same thing, except I would have gotten caught.
I was going to say, in the real world, if you did something like this and got caught, you'd be thrown in prison for probably the rest of your life.
Probably.
But I agree with you. You know, she's doing it for the right reasons, but she is doing things that are illegal. And so That's
one thing her and Ashley have in common.
Thank you. I was just going to ask you if you thought that, because Ashley does it too, but in a much less potentially deadly way.
She does it in a lot more casual.
Yeah.
She's a lot more casual about it.
So they have those things in common, right?
Yeah.
So they sort of have the same. So actually, Ashley and Kitch have these things in common, and Ashley and Yuka have things in common. They just don't know it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like that that dichotomy between those two characters.
Yeah.
Okay, and so then, so then couple that with the fact that once Kitch and Yuka are not in the house, and Ashley saw Yuka bring that briefcase in.
Yeah.
She goes into her foster parents' bedroom, cracks open the safe because that's something she's learned by being around her dad.
A criminal mastermind.
Yeah, supposedly. And then she takes the paints.
Yeah.
She's like a mini Yuka.
She steals the stolen paints,
yes,
basically.
Yeah. And then, because she thinks she sees the paints and goes, "Oh, these look like body paints. Here, I'll just put some on me." Would you do that?
Yeah, I actually
Really?
would. Yeah. Cuz I mean, body paints are cool.
Well, and obviously, could you imagine if you put on some body paints and suddenly you can shoot flames out of your hands
or it just started flying?
Yeah.
That would be cool, but I would also probably burn the house down or something.
Well, yeah, she accidentally, she rips this fountain out of the ground, and suddenly all the water from that's supplying the fountain is shooting up like a fire hydrant that's been dislocated.
Yeah, but the only reason she does that is because she sets a tree on fire.
That's true. I mean, she is trying to correct her mistake by making another one. It's like mistake after mistake after mistake.
Yeah, it's funny because she sets the tree on fire and then she rips that out. And then Luke's like, well, I guess we're replanting that tree.
And what do you think of the whole, she could only use 3 at a time?
I like that. I like that she can't just use all of them. Like, she has to wait and, like... Because if you can use all of them, like, that's just... It's not fair if you can use all of them.
It makes her like Superman, who can, ostensibly do anything because of all of his superpowers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I like the limitation, too. I think that's one of the... some of my favorite characters that have superpowers. They always have these limitations. There's one from the Legion of Superheroes that I absolutely adore. His name is Ultra Boy. Do you know who I'm talking about? I don't know that you've read anything with him.
I don't think so.
So he has the powers of Superman, but he can only use them one at a time. And so he has to be creative in the way that he applies his powers so that he doesn't get killed while he's battling, bad guys from Galaxy X.
Yeah, because Superman has like super speed, flight, X-ray vision, all these things. Like 5 billion things he can all do at the same time.
It's not that many, but...
Well, whatever. But and she can only use 3 of them at a time. I mean, she can have some of the same superpowers as Superman if she uses them like all at once, like the flight, invincibility, basically, and speed. There you go. Another version of Superman, basically, or like the ice and the heat.
Right. That's true. There are a lot of shared powers from. But okay, so we'll talk a little bit more about that in the next chapter, because then we find out a little bit more about Project Warpaint and the rest of the powers that she has.
Yes, I like that one.
Okay, but the chapter ends with this kind of ominous phone call where Kitsch is saying, yeah, sure, I suppose, since it's her birthday. So her 14th birthday is coming up.
Yep.
And he comes into her room as she's hiding the briefcase under her bed and says, you got a phone call. It's your dad. He wants to see you. And the reaction on her face, how would you describe that?
It's kind of like she looks sad or upset, but like in shock at the same time. Like, why would he want to see me? Or like scared.
Scared. That's how I took it. She's suddenly not the confident, brash.
She's not Ashley.
Yeah, that we have seen so far. She's suddenly seems like this other person, and I would describe it as she looks a little scared at the situation. Okay, so that leads us into chapter 3. Although I didn't say, I asked you at the top of this chapter what your favorite scene was, and did you say the training where she's in? That's my favorite too.
Yeah,
that's a lot of fun. Okay, so chapter 3, Red, White, and Bruised. I like the play on words there.
Yep.
Okay.
You would.
Ashley visits her dad in prison, and he declares that the Nolans are not her family. He is. As he's taken away after this outburst, he tells her, we're the same. That night, Ashley wakes from a dream when she was younger, when her dad was fighting with a cop and he told her to kick a gun toward him, which she does. As he grabs the gun, Ashley wakes up saying, no, Dad, no. She then pulls out the briefcase from under her bed and looks at a wig she had tried on earlier. She leaves the house, dressed in the wig, goggles, and some paint, and she confronts a small street gang called the Night Knights, getting them to surrender. The next day, Major General Temple and his subordinate Strack demonstrate Project Warpaint to General Gupta, telling her that the paint was, quote, created using DNA rescued from superhero battles. But the powers don't work for Strack.
Loser.
Spoilers. A few days later, Ashley and Luke are walking home, and she tells him that she's tried all 33 paints and shows him the list that she made. She also has learned that the paints regenerate, but it takes time to do so. When Ashley enters the Nolan's apartment, she is surprised by a birthday party that she did not want from earlier.
Yes.
Elsewhere, Strack attacks the 2 doctors that Major General Temple threatened earlier, demanding to know where the paints were. Ashley thanks Luke for the wig he gave her, presumably for her birthday. And then Ashley's dad calls, wanting her to visit him again. She tells him no, as well as, quote, you're my dad, but you're no father, and hangs up on him. This is when Ashley notices the falling plane from chapter 1, and she heads out to save it. Temple yells at Strack for causing the 2 doctors who developed the paints to die, with Strack calling it an, quote, unfortunate accident. Strack is in the break room with Yuka when they both see Ashley on the news announcing herself as Primer. At home, Yuka confronts Ashley. Yuka also tells Ashley that she took the paints because they were too dangerous in the wrong hands, in particular Strax, and that Ashley has put them all in danger. They argue, and Ashley locks herself in her room. She then packs a bag, grabs the paints, and leaves. But she's being watched by Strack, who refers to her as a, quote, silly little girl. That night, in an abandoned warehouse, Ashley has put on a new wig and applied some paints as she talks to Luke. Then Strack and his robot soldiers arrive. Ashley attacks them, and they all fight. During this, Ashley drops the briefcase, the paint canisters falling out. Strack then activates the fire sprinklers, washing most of the paint off of Ashley. She is able to disable the robots, but only able to take one of the canisters, and uses that paint to teleport to safety. That was the longest synopsis I had to write for this. There's a lot of plot going on in that third chapter.
Yep.
All right. So the chapter starts off with Ashley's visit to her dad.
Mm-hmm.
How would you describe that situation? Or specifically, what's your reaction to her dad? Well, what does that mean?
No, her dad is like, he's a bad person, and he's just using Ashley. Like, I feel like he sees Ashley as someone he can use to, like, find his way out, basically, and trying to, like, manipulate her and, like, keep her, like, basically as someone he can just use.
So what in that scene specifically makes you think that he's trying to use her?
Just the way that he talks to her, and, like, everything about how the Fosters aren't your family, I'm your only family, you're just like me, like, that kind of thing. And it's like him basically just yelling at her and making her feel, like, really bad about it. That, like, whole thing.
Mm-hmm. I kind of took it more as, because I would totally agree with you when we get to the end of this, but right now it seems more like he's just possessive, and maybe even a little fearful that she's not going to be in his life anymore. Now he's no great person for sure. Even if you just set aside the fact that he's in prison for being some sort of criminal, whatever.
He's a murderer.
Well, okay, so let's come back to that in a second. I was going to ask you about that. He does yell at her. He does demand things of her, right? So he's not a great dad for sure. But I don't necessarily see him trying to use her to accomplish anything at this point.
You're looking at it at the parent perspective.
Oh, well, that's why I wanted to get your perspective.
Yeah, because I look at it from, like, her perspective, or, like, a teenager's perspective.
What do you think of him repeating, we're the same, as he's being dragged away?
He's just trying to get that point across, like...
Oh, wait, is that why you think...
Exactly like me, basically.
Is that why you think he's trying to manipulate her?
Yeah.
Okay. But what does that mean? What does that mean that they're the same?
Like, basically, they're the same person. She's just like him. She's, like, no better in a way, I guess. It's kind of how I would read it, but I don't know.
Would you say that she has the potential to be a criminal like him?
Yeah.
Do you believe that?
No,
does she have that potential in her to be like that, like her dad?
No, she's a good kid, although her childhood isn't the best. And neither is her dad, obviously. But she's not that type of person. She's too good to, like, be anything like that.
Yeah. But obviously, her reaction, I'm looking at page 78 here, showing Madison. So, yeah, like at the top and the bottom, it's similar to when she got that call.
Yeah.
When she was at the Nolans, right?
Yep.
So she definitely is timid around her dad.
Yeah.
And maybe a little scared at the same time. But then we go into this immediately from the scene at the prison to years before, where this is the dream that she woke up from in the first chapter, I believe.
And like every chapter she has like something with this.
Well, I think this is the last time that we even see this, right? But we actually get to see what happens. Like I said, like I had described, and she kicks that gun to her dad. What do you think happened? I think I know what you think happened because you said it earlier.
No, the police are trying to get him out and like arrest him, and he's telling her to kick him the gun so he can like shoot or like kill the police officer so he can get out of that, basically.
Right, but on the page we don't actually see that. All we see is the gun being kicked to dad, and then the next panel is her eyes wide, she's crying, but then look, what's the color of the background?
Because it's all red.
It's all red.
It's
right?
all red, and it looks like that's kind of blood feel, and it's like the two different shades of red, and she's like all crying and like shocked and surprised in a way.
Isn't that a great way to show, or not show, but to suggest the violence that we extrapolate from this scene?
Yeah.
I love that. I love how the artist portrayed that.
Yeah, because this is a kid's
Exactly.
Wow. Superhero graphic novel. And so they're not going to show that.
Yeah. But they also don't.
The way they show it is like, you know what happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you're stupid.
Well, I wouldn't put it that way, but different interpretations, right? Okay. And then she heads out to take on the Night Knights, which are night, like day and night, and then knights, like armored knights.
I'm going to fight you.
The Night Knights.
Sounds like you're putting babies to sleep.
Night. It was really silly, right? The whole thing. I will ask you though. So here's a splash page on showing Ashley as she arrives to take them on. This is on page 81.
Yeah.
Or 82. How many colors are on her body?
There's 3 colors, but it looks like she also put red on her body too.
It looks like there's 4.
Yeah, it does,
right?
But there's only 3.
Which we know she cannot do. So that's a very minor mistake, I think, or I'm misinterpreting the colors, but I wanted to get your perspective.
No, because like with the wig and everything and like her outfit, like it already has paint on it, but on her skin and everything where you put the paint to like do stuff, it's just green, yellow, and blue, but it looks like she also has like red paint spread like kind of blended into her skin, like she tried to get it off but it wouldn't come off, that kind of thing. And
it's not just her legs, her arms too.
I know, and her cheeks, but yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But the cheeks, I can understand that.
Yeah, your cheeks are red.
But so but she does only demonstrate 3 abilities.
Yeah.
In the scene, so the internal consistency of the limitations are intact.
Yes.
But it was just I saw that, I'm like, wait a minute, how many colors is she actually wearing? And that was one of the things too. Once we found out that she could only wear 3 at a time, I'm the kind of reader that likes to look for those kind of mistakes.
Oh yeah.
But I was glad to see, other than this potentially different interpretation image, that they did maintain that throughout.
Yeah, I like looking at the splash pages. They're like my favorite things to look at because they're always super cool. And I just like looking at the detail. I'm not really looking for any mistakes unless it's super obvious.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. We get the scene with the Major General Temple and General Gupta, and he's explaining to her about the DNA residue. And he's like, did you think this was funny? Created using DNA residue from superhero battles, their blood, their spit, their snot, and the general cuts him off.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny. So yeah, all of these, and this is the thing I did not do, I wanted to do, we kind of ran out of time. I wanted to go through the list of powers and go, okay, this is from this character, this is from that character, from the DC universe.
I want to do that now.
That maybe we'll come back to that at some point. Okay, so there's that, and then we get the list. And we see, and it's another splash page.
Yeah.
Of a lined notebook paper where Ashley has written on here, my 33 awesome powers, and with the rainbows and the rainbow in the corner, and she has listed out all 33 in the color of the power. So I love that. So red, green, yellow. She's got the major colors. And then we get into like tan, gold, pink, blue, green, yellow, green, salmon, mahogany. I mean, come on. That's not a color you hear about a whole lot. Goldenrod, silver, white. Okay. So
Yeah, but one of them, the IQ enhancing, that reminds me of like the Batman kind of thing, or like Cyborg, because they're both super smart and like with the tech stuff. But I mean, it's also like a Lex thing too, because it's not just superheroes.
That's true. Yeah, nowhere does this say that it had anything to do with superheroes specifically, but superheroic battles, which includes the supervillains. But that's what I mean. It would be kind of neat to go through this to see who matches up the closest.
Yeah.
But it's also kind of hard to, what power mimicry is one of them. So you can mimic the powers of others.
Oh, that's what that was. I was trying to figure out what that said. It's hard for me to read it sometimes because like the handwriting.
Yeah.
But...
So which superhero or which super powered character in the DC universe has power mimicry? I can't think of one off the top of my head. But
I have no idea.
I'm sure maybe some of the listeners out there are immediately going, yeah, it's this person. But
the only character I can think of isn't DC. It is Umbrella Academy.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's just go. I'll just read through these real quick, and then I have a question for you.
Okay.
Red, super strength. Green, flight. Yellow, super speed. Purple, invulnerability. Orange, shooting fire. Blue, shooting ice. Red, violet, telekinesis. Indigo, self-healing and regeneration. Tan, power mimicry. Gold, teleportation. Pink, sonic blasting. Blue, green, morphing into anyone. Lime green, stretching. Yellow green, shrinking super small. Yellow orange, growing super big giant size. I love her commentary. Salmon, controlling the emotions of others. Dark blue, increased IQ to like 450 or something.
Yeah.
I love that. Dandelion, heightened senses. Brown, self-duplication. Light purple, becoming any animal I want. And then she has a little heart next to that one. But we don't get to see her do that.
I know.
Dark green, controlling vegetation. Mahogany, reactive/environmental adaptation. Gray, matter absorption. And then she has a little arrow pointing to her parenthetical, which is become what I touch, metal, wood, water, etc., which that's cool.
Yeah.
I know there is a character I know that is exactly like that, but he was a World War II character. So I don't know if there's anybody else like that in the modern superhero times.
I remember a character like that in one of the Teen Titan things, but it was twins. Like the girl had another power, but the guy, basically whatever he touched, he turned into.
Oh, all right.
Or I'm thinking of something else, but I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't know. Chestnut, precognition. Black, kinetic energy absorption, storage, and redistribution. Some of these words seem... Well, she did do the IQ thing, she said earlier. So maybe that's where she's getting some of this terminology.
Yeah, she's using the IQ as she's writing down.
Yeah. Blue purple, which I've never seen in a painting set or crayons, something called blue purple. Have you?
No, but I know what she's talking about.
I know you can mix them to get that, but it's not
but it's a bluish purple. It's not blue, but it's not purple. It's right in the middle.
Okay. That's dimensional storage of items. ... or something. Goldenrod, electricity, conjuring, and control. Lavender, power nullification. So you can nullify the powers of others, which would come in handy in a later battle she has. Anyway, silver.
She never used that.
I know.
That would have
it would have been very handy though, right?
Yeah, smart.
Silver is technopathy, controlling electronics and machines. Peach, force fields. Neon green, ESP, mind control and mind reading. And she has a smiley face emoji next to that. Mm-hmm. What does that mean? Scarlet, illusion creation, and white, ghosting, turn invisible and walk through walls. All 33. Whew. Okay.
Ghosting would be fun.
If you had to pick only 3 of these 33, and you could only use those 3 going forward, what 3 would they be?
I would use the IQ one.
Ah, smart.
Oh, haha. Ghosting and probably strength.
Interesting. Okay. So obviously the smart thing, that's, be able to figure stuff out. Super strength, that seems kind of obvious. Why the ghosting?
I mean,
just because it's fun?
Yeah, but it's also it can come in handy during other times too. Especially if you especially because I get annoyed with people a lot and I'm just trying to get through. It'd be helpful when I'm trying not to be late to class.
So
People are slow.
you
And
could just walk through people fast.
yeah, just get out of my way.
You're so practical.
Well, and then like when I'm trying to make food or something and like there's people over like during parties or whatever, or I'm just trying to get somewhere, just turn into a ghost and like get out of my way, people. Although if I
you
had
surprise
strength,
me.
no, if I had strength, I wouldn't really need that. I could just push my way through. Although that would probably hurt people, and I'd end
Yeah.
up with a lot of medical bills.
How very un-Ashley of you.
Mm.
Okay, so my 3. So it depends. Am I in the DC universe or am I in a world where there are no other superheroes? That would determine my choices. So if I were in the DC universe, I choose power mimicry, so I can
That would-
emulate all
that
these
would be
others.
cool.
Right? Otherwise, I would choose telekinesis, and then the other 2, and number 1 on my list actually, teleportation, so I could go anywhere I wanted.
Oh yeah, that's fair. I wasn't thinking about it like if I was in the DC universe. I was thinking about it as like if it was like me right here.
Right.
But
So
if I was
that's why I would choose telekinesis instead.
if I was in DC universe, I probably would pick the power mimicry because
Yeah.
that's just cool. I think I'd still keep ghosting just because.
Well, and that's
And-
funny you say that because I debated on that one. It was ghost. It came down to ghosting and this other one. Force field is the one I ultimately chose. But I was thinking ghosting kind of for the same reasons that you did. Because it'd be fun to just kind of go through things and also, part of what she said is turn invisible. So to
Me
be
at
able to,
parties, I don't want to talk to you. Go invisible and leave.
to be able to teleport into places and be invisible and not people not see you. I mean, that kind of suggests that I would do, not great things with those powers, but that's not.
Hey, it'd be great to see what presents I get.
Oh,
I'm kidding.
okay.
No, but then I don't know. I was also debating about flight because I want to be able to fly. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
But with the ghosting, wouldn't you technically get that too? Because if you're ghosting, you can pretty much fly, except different.
Well, but that's not really how it's.
I
how
know.
it's described. You can
Yeah.
just walk through things. Okay, so besides all the powers, which was was that like your favorite scene?
One of them, yeah.
Okay. One of the major things in this is that the dad calls
Yep.
and she tells him off basically.
Finally.
Yeah. So what do you think of that scene? Oh, and let me go ahead and answer. I'm gonna show you a picture.
I like that scene because she's like finally standing up for herself and like standing up to her dad, like basically being like, I'm not going to take this anymore. You're not the boss of me, blah, 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 that kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
But then look at the panel here on page. See, I hate this. Some of the pages have numbers and some don't. This is on page 98. And it's just a panel of her dad after she's hung up on him. And he's like, Ashley? Ash? And look at describe the look on his face.
He looks kind of like upset, but like at the same time, like, I kind of had this coming. Like, he's...
Really?
It seems like he kind of expected it, but at the same time, he's just like upset about it. He doesn't look mad. He's just
I disagree with you. I don't think he expected that at all. And now that it's happened, he is suddenly, the roles are reversed. And he's the one who's unsure and timid and almost looks like he's about to cry. He almost looks sad.
Yeah, but like I'm saying, he looks upset, but like, I mean, he kind of like at the same time, he probably like expected he had something like that coming though, because it's like, yeah, I don't know.
Okay, and then we get the scene with Strack spying on her,
Oh yeah.
and he refers to her as, so he says, oh, so this Primer is Dr. Nolan's kid, and she's a little girl. Just a silly little girl.
Rude.
And this is not the only time he refers to her like that. He denigrates her as, just a girl later, in the next chapter.
Sexist.
Yeah, I assumed that you would really not like this guy. And I think that's partly why they have him saying these things, is to really make you dislike him.
Yeah, like, I mean, I get when they have characters say stuff, but I mean, come on, bro. Just a silly little girl who can do all this stuff, like, smart enough to steal the paints. Like, She can beat you up.
Yeah, because he says it later. So when she arrives to
The warehouse?
when he arrives at the warehouse where she's at, they fight.
Yeah.
They fight for a little bit, and he is able to get the upper hand. And this is where he starts collecting all the canisters. But he's like, he says it again, just a silly little girl.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then she teleports away, and then we get into chapter 4.
Yep.
So let's move on to the final chapter.
Okay, I'll try to read this better. Strack calls Ashley, demanding she hand over the last paint canister or he will kill the Nolans. Ashley arrives at the park and sprays Strack with some paint, short-circuiting him. She then frees the Nolans and applies some paint to herself, and they fight. Strack throws a helicopter at Ashley, and the explosion hurts her. He then shapeshifts into her father, expecting her to cower, but she knocks Strack out. MG Temple arrives, telling Ashley that he'll take care of Strack and addressing her as Primer. A week later, Ashley decides to stay with the Nolans. She receives a package from the temple, a new Primer costume. In prison, Ashley's father watches the news report of Primer saving the plane and recognizes his daughter's eyes. He announces that he'll see her soon. The end.
Okay, so MG means Major General, by the way. I was doing shortcuts.
After I read it, I was like, oh yeah, never mind.
All right. Okay, so when Strack contacts her saying, I have the Nolans, if you don't deliver the last canister back to me, I'm going to kill him.
Yep.
Right? And then she has that debate with herself, which I did not describe in that synopsis, but she goes, she's debating with herself, sitting there after the call. I can't just let them die, but if I go, he'll definitely kill me. Why risk it when the Nolans, when they don't even want me? I mean, I can't save them with only this. Just walk away, Ashley. Just walk away. You're not meant for this. And then she looks up and looks at her Ashley Unafraid.
Yes.
So what about that painting makes her decide to go?
Well, it's Ashley Unafraid, and it's like that
But she is afraid.
I know, but it's the superhero like look, and it's all the colors and everything is basically like it's all bright and like light and good, basically. It's what I'm taking from the painting. It's the bright colors, it's good colors, because if it was all dark and everything, it would just make it seem bad and like walk away, basically.
Okay, that's
it's kind of like
consider that.
It's kind of like the angel and the devil on your shoulder. That is Ashley's angel. The devil is her father. Is basically the thing. And so when she looks at that, she's like, I can't walk away from this. I have to save them. Like, it's my fault, basically.
Very good. I that's a really good interpretation. I was going to say that the painting to me represents her idealized self. You know, that person that she strives to be, that she wants to be.
Yeah.
She wants to be unafraid. She wants to be this super heroic character that she has painted on the wall. Mm-hmm. And so that inspires her to go ahead and do the right thing.
Yes.
Which I think, really it was kind of a foregone conclusion. Because right in that moment, she's just really scared. Just like with her dad before. And it's not like if you overcome your fear about something doesn't mean that you're never, ever not afraid again.
Yeah.
So it's always, it's a constant struggle to overcome either your fears or your own inadequacies that you feel about yourself. There's always some struggle, right, that you always have to overcome.
Yep.
To be able to do the right thing or become a better person, all that stuff. But that painting is in a way it's permanent. It's a constant reminder to her to be better, to do better, and to be unafraid in a sense, right? So, yeah. But I love your angel devil interpretation. I wasn't even thinking about that with the dad as the devil. That's awesome. Yeah. That's a great interpretation. All right, so there's the battle, and of course, she wins. Big, huge strategic mistake on Strack's part to morph into dad, right?
Yeah,
because he was missing a key bit of information, which is she's already rejected dad, and so just instead of being afraid,
it just makes her mad.
Just makes her mad, and she socks him. Do you think that this is a substitute? How she would love to punch her dad too?
Yeah.
For everything that he's put her through?
Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, you're my dad. I can take that out on you even better.
Which is something that I have seen, I will tell you, a lot in superhero comic books as well.
Yeah.
But still, I quite enjoyed it. She does, the silly little girl wins. Mm-hmm. She's out, without the use of the IQ paint, she's outwitted this guy and outmaneuvered him. And he's a military guy. Granted, he's an unhinged soldier, but
kind of like Brayden. The high school scene where Brayden's messing with Luke and Ashley decides to use that against him, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, similar approach. Yeah. Okay, so what do you think about? So we talked before about how Yuka stole the paints.
Yeah.
The technical illegality of that situation. So what do you think about Major General Temple coming to Ashley and going, "Good job, here, to keep the paints"? Considering that he
was like, I need these paints to end warfare, to be this hero, basically. Yeah, and then he's like, Ashley, you're good at this. Keep it.
Well, he even says he wanted to be remembered as someone who revolutionized warfare.
Yeah.
You can't do that without these paints. So why do you think he does that though? Why is he just, he's like, here, keep this stuff, go be primer? Because
he sees what happens, like, when Ashley's using the paints for good and, like, in a good way, and he sees how the soldier or the military person, so Strack, is using them for bad, basically. And he's like, he thinks about it and is like, well, we know how she's using it. We know, and, like, basically, it's something he can monitor and watch just to, and if she's using them for good, she should be able to, like, keep it in a way.
Oh, so you think that he is going to keep an eye on her in the future?
Yeah.
That's kind of has a bit of a sinister tone to it then, doesn't it?
Yes, but it's like, you think about other characters in, like, the DC universe. It's like Batman's always watches Nightwing or, like, Robin or whatever and everything they're doing. He's like, here, go be you, but I'm still watching you, basically.
But Batman's a control freak, so...
But I know, but he's a major general who's giving these paints to a young teenage girl. Mm-hmm. Gonna be watching her.
It certainly validates Yuka's decision to steal the paints from the beginning of the book, right?
Yes.
Because Strack proves her point for her. And yeah, I agree. I think Major General Temple saw that and is like, these are better off in this young, silly little girl's hands than, he doesn't say that, but than ours.
Yep.
We can't be trusted ourselves to use these in the best way.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a nice turn. You would not expect that normally in other kinds of fiction.
Yeah.
What do you think of the new costume? So, first of all, describe the new costume that Major General Temple sends her.
So the new costume is like, it's a full body suit. It's the white and the gray, and it's kind of like, there's no cape, but it's basically like every other costume. Like, in a way, it reminds me of, like, a very basic, like, underlayer of, like, a Batman costume. It has the white and the gray, except his is black and gray, but whatever. And then it has the big symbol on the chest, and the gloves, the belt, the boots. I mean, I like it. I just want, if it was more colorful, I would like it. But like we were talking about earlier, I feel like with the 3 paints, she could use it, like, have it when she's not using any of the paints, have it how it is. But she decides which 3 paints she wants to use, and, like, the white will turn one color, gray will be another, and, like, the belt, the gloves, the boots, like, all that kind of stuff will be the 3rd color, so that way she'll have all the colors she needs to basically do what she needs.
Well, and so I think my only real complaint is that, this is all about color. Primer is all about all the colors, and this is a very monotone type of costume, except for that belt buckle, which has all the different colors, the rainbow colors in it. So that seems weird. And it's body paint, but she's covered from neck to toe. So is the suit supposed to absorb the paint and allow her to use her powers?
I have no idea.
I just have questions about the about this costume, but we also don't get to see it used. And I love your interpretation of this, that maybe the costume will change colors depending on which one she uses.
Yeah.
And you see there are canisters in the belt,
Mm-hmm.
almost like Batman's utility belt in a way.
Yeah, that's what.
So I imagine the paints are in there, right?
Yeah.
So then maybe she touches them and then the paints come out, and then she has the abilities, right? But there are 33, so it'd be kind of hard to reach around to your backside to which one are you touching, that kind of. Anyway, but who knows? We're now getting into unknown territory, nerd territory here for this. So, but that was a lot of fun, and of course, the ending is with the dad saying "see you soon," and so this is totally set up, for a sequel. And do you want to read a sequel?
Yes, I mean, I said I really like this book, and I want more. I like the character. I want more with her. Curious about what they're planning on doing with the suit still, but yeah, I mean, like with this story, it's kind of a story I can watch as I'm reading, basically. It's, like I said, it would make a good show or like a good movie.
Yeah, well, I mean that's to me that's just a hallmark of a good story. You're so wrapped up in what you're being shown that it just kind of flows.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. This is one of my favorite books, and I would love to see more of this character. What was your favorite scene in this last chapter?
I think my favorite scene was when she came out with the new costume on.
Really? I thought you didn't really like the costume.
No, I don't. It's not the costume. I don't. Okay. It's not about the costume. It's the personality and the jokes. Like, she's just, as soon as she walks out, gets in like that stance, like that superhero stance, and she's like, "So can I have my curfew extended?"
Yeah, and Yuka's like, "Oh dear." She's got her hand in her resting, or her head resting on her hand there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I forgot about one of my favorite scenes though.
What's that?
It's not in the last chapter. I think it's in the second one. Mm-hmm. And it's just when Ashley and Kitch are going back and forth, and how he says something and then he just goes LOL, and Ashley's like, "You don't say LOL." And he's just like, "Whatever, TTYL," and she's like, "SMH." Just
I knew you would love that too.
Just that texting like kind of talk.
Yeah.
The text talk.
Okay, so my favorite scene here is when she's talking to the Nolans in that last chapter, and Yuka's like, "We really do love you, Ashley," and she says, "Thanks, I love you guys too."
Yep.
They're a family now.
Yeah.
They both accepted each other. And not only that, but Yuka is going to struggle with the fact that her daughter is now a superhero.
Yep. Your fault.
And Kitch, I love Kitch's, Yuka's like, "Oh gosh, this is going to be a problem." But Kitch is like, he's just smiling. He's proud. He's ready.
Kitch and Luke are all like, "Oh, this is awesome."
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Final question, I think, for you. So if we do get another book, and I would assume that they would bring in some other DC characters, either to help promote the book, because, you put Batman in a book, it'll sell better. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
Right? And not necessarily Batman, but what DC character or characters, just a few, would you like to see her team up with in a future sequel?
I feel like it'd be really funny if they had her team up with, like, of course, my first thought is Harley Quinn, but that's because it's Harley Quinn. It'd just be funny.
I didn't say your favorite character. I said
which... I know. That's like, well, it's just funny because, like, the jokes and everything, they would just have a good time. It seems like.
I could see that. Sure. Yeah.
It'd just be a fun story. And I don't know. I'm trying to think of, like, other characters she would it'd be fun to see her with like the Titans or something.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess that would makes sense because of her age. But could you imagine her interacting with Damien?
That would be funny.
or Batman either. I know.
No, Damien. That's another one I was gonna say. I was gonna go with Robin too because that would just be funny. And since Damien is like all serious and everything, and she's just all, it's like seeing Batman and Harley Quinn team up, except younger and different. But yeah, it'd be funny. It'd be fun to watch.
All right. Well, if DC Comics is listening, and you know they are.
They always are.
Madison and I are both thumbs up. Give us some more primer.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Madison. I really enjoyed this conversation with you. Like I said, I really loved that you wanted to talk about something different than what we have been doing here in the recent past involving comic books. And I'm really looking forward to talking about some other things down the road. So let me know what the next thing is you want to talk about. And we'll schedule some time and do that.
I'll make a list.
Oh, please do. We'll start just going down that list. All right. If you, the fine listener, have anything to say about Primer, or if you have questions for about the book, or for Madison and what she said about the book, or even my stupid thoughts, you can always email me at longboxreview@gmail.com. Please visit the website longboxreview.com, and you can interact with me on the socials, as they say, right, Madison?
No one says that.
On social media, Instagram, Facebook, I'm forgetting, Twitter, of course.
Twitter.
At Longbox Review. And with that, thanks for listening, and we will talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.